Hi, beautiful lights. Oh, okay. What I'm seeing now is as if we have this like swirling of white and like the two drops of love from the masculine and feminine within have been ignited, and now it's like the rise. It's happening. There's nothing, no energies can stop what's happening. And I'd like to kind of dive into that a little bit more. I've talked about it in other videos, but if you think about a playing field of, let's just say separation, because that's what separation would be, keeping the collective from uniting as a whole. And it only takes 1%. That's the most beautiful truth about this, is if one person says there's nothing they can do about it, but if you realize what 1% of the entire population is, not very many of us, that's all it takes to completely transform the playing field from separation, from duality, into oneness, into unity, into the whole and complete circle of life. In life, there is death. Yes, you can't have one without the other, but in learning through those paths, walking through the paths of the pain and suffering and the feeling of being separate from anything, but especially from God, feeling like you have to physically die to be one with God. And it's a spiritual death and rebirth. It's letting go of the old. It's choosing to rewrite the story. It's seeing the book that you have lived in so long, and then closing that book and literally opening a new book that is completely empty and writing fresh from there. And every single day rewriting your story as you want to see it. And then what you write down as you want to see it will come into play, and it will give you the options of the old patterns and then the new patterns, essentially. And so you're either going back into the old ways, the old thinking, the old mindset, the old playing field, or you are facing, it's an uncomfortable space, because that space between is what is a good word for it? It is dumbfoundedly miraculous. It's like this space where you're walking and you're like, I have never been here. What do I do now? And my mind is at rest, but I know that I'm here. And that's kind of the gist of what it feels like. And so yes, you're facing an uncomfortability by stepping into the new. You're facing the unknown. I was speaking with somebody the other day, and she said, you see, I'm a person that likes to know. And she said she had just went to a Life Surge event here in Kansas City. And she said what they were saying about, she said that God is going to put things in front of you to test your faith and to test your trust. Are you going to trust this path even though you can't see the end? And I am a true walking, talking testament of that is not the easiest. It is not the easiest, because a lot of times you're like breaking through these walls consistently, but yet it's like the results aren't there. But that doesn't mean that you stop. That doesn't mean that you fall back into old patterns. You keep going, and you keep showing up. And that's really what it's all about. Showing up, being present, recognizing that all the little things that are coming into your life are messages. They're the little voices of our ancestors. There's the voices of our angels in the birds chirping. And I just recently, I'll share a photo with it at the end, but I had a large planter, no, it's this large, that I had planted some tomato seeds in last year, but regardless, there was a sprout that had come up in it, and I didn't know for sure what it was, so I kind of uprooted it, put it in a smaller planter, and it's been growing. And it's a very long stem right now, and you can tell there's roots trying to grow out of it on the top part of the stem. And I looked it up today, and it's a cottonwood. And so I looked up just the the message of a cottonwood tree. And it it was exactly what I needed to see, to hear. And being in the space now where I have been needing, oh God, this is so beautiful. Thank you. I have been needing the signs. I have been needing the clarity. I have been needing the, because it's like you're walking in darkness and you're walking with a blindfold over you and you're feeling your way through. And sometimes what you're feeling hurts, but you're learning with the hurt. You're learning with the pain. You're learning with, okay, now I'm in a space that is highly uncomfortable. And what do I do here? Since I can't see, I can see the insight. I can see with my intuitive mind. I can see with my mind's eye the outcome, what I want to see happen. But I also have to work through this to get there, if that makes sense. And please, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions and I will answer them accordingly. And so you're walking in blind faith, but true blind faith, not in the old constructs of the blind leading the blind into absolute devastation and chaos. I'm actually like the path less trodden, the path where you're literally going through and you're just like taking out what no longer serves, and you're continuing to face your insecurities. You're continuing to face the vulnerability. You're continuing to face, you're stepping up in trust. You're stepping up in faith. You're stepping up in hope. But to bring it back was, I kept needing kind of clarification, because it's like, am I doing it right? Is this, and you kind of know without knowing, because you're not seeing, and that's not even wholly true. You're seeing small benefits, you're seeing small rewards consistently, and you can feel within you the clarity, you can feel the strength of the resilience, you can feel these new emotions. And I've talked about them so many times on my other social media platforms, not so much here on YouTube. And so if you're curious, I would invite you to go back to either Jennifer Renee Jennifer on Instagram. It's Jennifer Renee on Facebook, but they're pretty much simultaneous. The Within by Jen accounts have a lot of the same information, but because Within by Jen started as an athletic line, that kind of like took the back seat, and now Within by Jen is like the leading role of this knowing who we are. It's knowing who we are. Whether you say it's an awakening, whether you say it's a becoming, it is truly stepping into the leading role that we came here to be. And that might not be the leader, but if you can think about any job force, we need the people doing this work, and we need people doing this work, and we need people doing this work. And so it's the collective that everything makes it grow together. And that's what we've been doing. So thank you for being here, and thank you for doing the work. Obviously, you found my page because you've been on some spiritual truth quest, if you will. And I would just like to remind you that the quest is you. It's you wholeheartedly, fully embodied, fully alive. And this new transition phase for me now is it's felt like I've been kind of in this, like a transition really, where you're not in the cocoon, but you're not fully the butterfly. And I use that analogy because that's what we're all so familiar with. But right now also, because the power that's in it is, it's like you've hatched out of the egg and you've been in like this tumbling, fumbling phase, but you're not going to let it break you. You're going to keep getting back up. You're going to keep walking. You're going to keep enduring. And I say that because it's really the internal field that you're working with. But now it's like the phoenix and the dragon and the horse are all uniting, and it's like our wings, and we are just riding with glory. It's not even into glory. We're with glory. And the transformation it just is. And you're not needing the signs to know the confirmation anymore. You're not looking for the signs. However, that cottonwood was so perfect. But I have found where every time I see a number, and I would have to go look up what the number meant. And so I'm in this phase where I'm not needing to go look up what it means anymore. I just see that it's like, this is absolutely for me. This is absolutely 100% undeniably for and growth and renewal and being everything. I really hope that makes sense. So I think what I'll do is I'll just let silence speak. This is always for our highest and best good and the highest good of all. Did you see down my shirt? Through the divine will of Mother, Father, God. Yes, yes. And so it is. It is done. It is done. It is done. Nature rejoices. The songs we have heard on high, the majesty reigns supreme. To enjoy the fruits of your labor, knowing that the labor is going into the many houses, going into the many rooms, going into the scars and the pain, and turning on the lights within each and every one, so that as you completely open, as all doors are open, the wind takes you there. You see, the density needed to be removed. The density is what holds us down. Once we remove the density, and what we talk about with density is if you have the backpack on, however, realizing that your backpack is what is in here. If you are continuously picking up frustration every day, you are allowing the density of frustration to weigh you down. Let the frustration go. Choose not to pick up that backpack, that rock. And as you work through those playing fields of emotions, the heavier densities, the ones that were put on earth, the material world, you work through them to rise above. And then you are in all playing fields. You recognize the lower densities, however, they no longer play a part in your reality. You recognize them, you choose not to engage. It is that simple. However, because we have lived in a collective that we don't understand the connection of emotion in the body, we think it must be ours. We have to hold on to it. We have to hold the weight. We have to hold the pressure. We have to hold the anger. We have to hold the rage. We have to hold the sadness. We are showing that a new way is to release it through movement, through tears, through whatever form that is healthy for each individual watching. And as you release it, your body feels lighter and lighter. You get used to the higher playing fields. Love has always and will always find a way, and it has found the way. Love has found the way into the earthly plane and spreads across the collective. That love is so humbling. That love is so beautiful. That love has brought me to my knees so many times, because the world that I existed in, that love wasn't present. And presence, the presence of God is what I'm speaking of. However, the old system wasn't created with pure divine presence in mind. And the world that we exist in now is all about presence and stillness of mind. And when you are in that space, gosh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one. I'm gonna have to go back and that was beautiful. When you're in that space, everything changes. Everything changes. You're no longer acting any way. You are. You see the difference. To act is to play a part, is to wear a mask, is to be something that you're trying to be. When you are, when it is, everything is different. You see, we are all of it. There is no separation. Every emotion that we have ever felt is a part of who we are. However, releasing the emotion and letting it go with love, when you let it go with love and understanding, understanding with clarity why you are letting it go, you see the alchemization of that transformation then transforms the playing field. You see, as you, an individual, release the pain and suffering and forgive and move on with love for yourself, the way it was always intended, the way we were created to love ourselves, you then, like the drop that goes and ripples out, you then ripple out in your entire playing field to transform and elevate everyone you have ever come in contact with. That is why the 1% now ripple out. Sometimes the hardest part is feeling the need to jump back into the old ways and do more. And the forgetting is also part of the remembering we are perfect just as we are. Everything that we have been through has brought us right here in this present moment to alchemize and transform. The breath of life, to know that we are here and we are living and our feet are on the ground, gives us the opportunity every single day with every breath to choose anew. Recognize it as a learning and growing and evolving and adapting with every situation that comes into our playing field. And if we do, that growth is exponential. Because life wants to see us bloom and grow. What's that song? Edelweiss? Is it Edelweiss? I'm just hearing bloom and grow forever. Bloom and grow forever. And that is the eternal. We were at a visitation last night, and it said the unseen field is the eternal. And how because we have come from a system of work, do, we have very little time to imagine, to see a different way, and then to actually act out on seeing the new way, really making time for being fully present in the new way. And it really doesn't take much effort, because the presence steps in with gratitude, with joy, with love, with presence. Whatever it is we're doing, we're fully present. And then just living and showing up. I'm just going to hold us. And so when the invitation comes, realizing that, oh, that could be the nudge I needed to show up, and just seeing it as that. And it's a new experience. It's exciting. And you don't have to do it again if you don't want to, but there will always be something that comes out of it. So new. I to kind of bring this all in, last week, it was probably Thursday or Friday of last week, I could see the white thread rising within. That was the insight. And then today I saw as if, yes, like it's almost like the dropper water, and it was both sides, the masculine and feminine added their magic. And once their magic is in, it's like, oh, the Kundalini awakening, the Christed children coming to life, the life force energy. We went to, for my 40th birthday, we went to several different places. Started in Colorado, went to the Four Corners, went into Arizona and Flagstaff, and did a lot of the beautiful spaces in Sedona. And then we went into New Mexico, and there was the spiral staircase, and I cannot remember. Well, we stayed in Santa Fe, so it must have been right in Santa Fe. And I wanted to go into the miracle of the spiral staircase. And as we were listening, they were giving us kind of the overview, and we were listening. And it said something about the amount of stairs. And of course, I looked at Kelly and I said, it has to be 33. And of course, it was. And so I went over to the, oh gosh, I love them. Those sounds. I was like, the star seedlings, it sounds like we're just like entering a magical, yes. So thank you for chanting with us. But I asked him, and it was right after, so this was 2020 for my 40th. And he was sitting behind a glass, and he had gloves on. And I said, would you mind praying with me? And he said, yes. And I said, do you think that there is a significance with the 33 stairs and the 33 vertebrae? And he said, well, I don't believe in coincidences. And we just made eye contact. And as he stood up and prayed with me, he stood up first, and I said, well, do you mind coming out from behind the glass? And he said, sure. And I said, do you mind taking off your gloves? And he said, sure. And so we held hands, and he prayed with me, and literally my body felt like I was flying out of the room. And I started crying, and I said, thank you very, very much. And I said, Kelly, I've got to go ground this in. I've got to go ground this in. And the tree that's outside is like, when I hugged it, my arm span didn't even reach around a quarter of the tree. It was so magnificently beautiful. And I just hugged it, and I just had moments and moments of breath, just pure breath. And so, however you want to perceive it, whatever words or terms, fully being alive, fully being in the presence of God, the kingdom of heaven, remembering all of it within, and all the lights being on within, letting the breath just take you away. It is an existence that is alive and well for us right here, right now, right here, right now. So I think I'm going to end it there. I love you. I love you. It's an absolute honor and a blessing. And I'm actually going to go plant some more seeds in my garden and get some of my seedlings into bigger spaces so they can grow. I'm soaking some seeds now so that I can you see behind me? There's that bed right here, and then there's the bed right there, and then I think if I go over, there's a bed right there. And so I just started putting the flowers, the medicinal herbs and medicinal flowers back in there, and then the root crops, and then the fruiting vegetables will go in a little bit later. Missouri, the weather right now we're just delicately working together, it feels like, trusting. And so I'm going to go do that, get my hands dirty. So I love you all very much. Like I said, it is an absolute honor. I'm Jennifer Renee. This is Within by Jen. It's within each and every one of us. It always has been. It is now. It is now. And I love you. Also, April 27th, we are starting the Zoom call, kind of question, if you will, to dive deeper into, if you have thoughts, if you have questions, even if you have reservations, please join us. And you don't have to speak up if you don't want, but I am going to open the space to really talk about what I do and how I do it. I will probably walk us through a meditation to show us the feeling that we get, that we have accessible to ourselves, and describe more in detail with your questions how we do that, how we have that power within, and opening the gates. So if that is something that is of interest to you, please, I will leave the link below. Please, it's just so new to me, of opening these spaces of true teaching. So you can tell I'm fumbling on my words right now. I'll leave the link below. If you want to be a part of it, click on the link. Also, you can contact withinbyjen.com. I love it. See, this is like the nervousness in action. Withinbyjen.com, you can go to, and on the contact link, you can fill out if you're wanting more in-depth one-on-ones, if you are wanting to be a part of the masterclass, and also you can leave in the message block that you want to be a part of the Zoom. You can comment below as well, and I will add you. So I love you. It would also be an honor if you want to join our community for our emailing list. You can go to the contacts page on my website as well and fill out that. Yeah, so I'm done fumbling. I love you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.